people are really picky. They want a ready to move in property. If you want to be in a market where you don't overpay, you should really consider buying the property that doesn't scream, hey, it's ready to move in.
Welcome to the latest episode of We Fixed Real Estate. Drew Hendricks here with Fred Glick, Chris Gustavel, and René Pérez, premiering a new property today. Fred, why don't you tell us about it?
All right, take a look at this property, everybody. It's about a little over 3,000 square foot house in amazing condition, meticulous owners, got a swimming pool and a gigantic backyard, which you kind of can't see back there. I picked the wrong picture.
I see a big barn.
Yeah, it's actually behind the pool. So unfortunately, I picked the wrong picture to talk about it. But anybody see a problem?
The freeway.
Exactamundo. That is the 210 freeway. This is in Arcadia. So the people who own it now have been in it for many years. I think like 20 years, 25 years, something like that. The previous owner, the person they bought it for, was the guy who worked with Albert Einstein at Caltech. So there's a possibility that Albert Einstein has been in this house, giving it extra value. His aura is still there. But they loved it. There is noise from a highway. We also have another listing up in Northern California in San Jose that's right off the 280. I mean, literally like 50 feet from it. So inside the house, no problem. Everything's got, solid doors, double pane windows. It's great in there. And you get outside. Yeah, it depends on the time of day. Rush hour is actually not bad because everybody's going slow. So it's a beautiful thing. But, the middle of the day, the trucks going at 60, 70 miles an hour, make some noise. But we're looking into a couple of things. One being that, I don't know if you can see it in there, but there is a train line that runs there, the metro. And if you're within a certain number of feet from the metro and your noise decibel is above, I think it was 72, they allegedly have a grant program that they'll give you $100,000 towards building your own wall. Wow. That's pretty cool. So we've emailed them. We're still waiting to hear back. But that could be a cool thing. Also, we're getting a guy out there to just literally give us a price to put up some whatevers. We don't even know what he's going to recommend.
Looks like there's a lot of nice trees back there, though.
Tons of trees.
There's really the view's blocked from the freeway.
Yeah, you can't see the freeway. As a matter of fact, behind all those trees, there's about 10, 15 feet of actual just ground. And there then is a wall. So it's just the wall didn't go high enough. That's really what it amounted to. So they built it, but didn't test it or something. Or the test was wrong before they built it. So it's a great house. It's in Arcadia School District, which is it's like 9 out of 10 on Redfin in great schools. So it's a cool house, but you're going to probably get it for, if this was, 3 blocks away, it's probably a $3.5 million house just because of the location. The 3 most important things in real estate: location, location, location. This is it. First set of people that came in to look at it loved the house and just couldn't deal with the outside. But we had more people at an open house yesterday. They really didn't complain. And it was Sunday, it wasn't bad. But the idea is if you're looking at a house like this, go back different times of day, different days, just to make sure. And we told them that we want them to be comfortable and not, buy the house and then complain about it later. But it's about a 30,000 square foot lot. So it's enormous. You could have a sort of kind of see it back here. It's actually even bigger, but between the pool, there's a pool house and the yard. I could see like 50 screaming kids at a birthday party, it's perfect for it. So, or just, have your own musical festival there. I mean, it's at the end of a cul-de-sac too.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And right down the street from Santa Anita racetrack. So if you're into race cars, horse racing. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just mention it and mention just the fact that it may not be as bad as you think. So don't not see it. If you see something that's near a highway. There's also a website that we've used a lot. I mean, it's a generic algorithm. It's called HowLoud, HOWLOUD.com. Kind of gives you an idea. It gives a score, and it separates it between noise from traffic, general noise, and aircraft. So if you don't think you're in a flight path, you might be in a flight path of a house you're looking at. So,
yeah, that's interesting thing about noise. Like being in San Diego near Point Loma, I grew up outside of the flight path, so we couldn't hear it. But it was always a toss up whether you wanted to hear like continuous freeway noise or that every 15, 20 minutes airplane noise straight over your head.
Got it. Well, it depends how high it was. I mean, there's some people. I sold a house to a guy in San Jose, literally right on the flight path of the airport going north. And he says, I like airplanes. Doesn't bother me. So, and it really ends up being white noise after a while because you get used to it. You're going to hear it every day. It's just that kind of a thing. So anyway, that's my story on houses near highways.
No, a lot of interesting points to consider. My sister just bought a house right on the flight path. I think the planes are maybe 300 feet above her house, flying directly over.
You live in the airport?
Well, she's in Point Loma, and it's just right on the other side of the runway. Right.
Well, that's
Liberty Station.
It's crazy where you literally are flying above the houses and then have to drop down. And that approach is nuts. So,
well,
anyway.
Let's talk about San Francisco and some of the easing up of the zoning laws.
Yeah, the mayor's doing some cool things. He's proposed some new legislation to basically streamline things and stop this 3 years for getting permit stuff. We love it. I mean, we haven't seen the effects yet. We haven't had any properties or people who are going to be doing stuff, but it will really change San Francisco to make it better and easier. And there's a lot of unpermitted stuff. So I could see down the road, once they get it solved and cleaned, they may start looking for more unpermitted things and at least get some revenue from that. There's the old, this used to happen in Philadelphia too, where you just do it because the fine and the slap on the wrist is not as a big deal as submitting the permits and waiting forever. So they should even put some kind of moratorium on it. We're not going to, as long as it's done, but to code, we'll only fine you $100 or something. I mean, just to get everything straightened out, because we always have buyers. I saw it says it was unpermitted. Oh my God, I can't buy this house. I'm not going to get a mortgage, which is not true. And we did somewhere on our blog or somewhere, you'll see a Notebook LM podcast about it. And I think we talked about it for specifically San Francisco. Well, we did it for California generically. It's kind of all the same, but LA hasn't done this, but if San Francisco is successful, maybe we'll see something happen in LA.
You would think the area around the Palisades would kind of take.
Oh, well, that special zone kind of thing there and Altadena. So they're pushing through stuff because you got to get a whole house built for people who don't have anything in the fire. It's a thing.
Now, for those people that aren't quite as savvy, explain it more in simple terms. So you're going to buy a house and you figure out that there's a bathroom that was like the house was a three bedroom, 3 bath, but really was only on paper 3 bedroom, 2 bath. What does the buyer have to look out for there? And should the seller consider permitting it retroactively? How does that work?
Well, you could go in and plead mea culpa, and then you get the inspector to come out, and as long as it's done by code, fine. They'll just slap you with a fine usually. But if you didn't do it by code, you're going to have to rip it out if they see it.
Mhm.
And they say, nope, rip it out, do it again,
Mhm.
get the permit and do it right.
Mhm.
So if you're going to have that situation, maybe you call in an independent plumber, or as part of the home inspection. You think they did this right? If the home inspection is already done, contact the home inspector
Mm.
and maybe even pay them to come out just for your peace of mind, just to see if it was done right. Cause they don't see, you can't see behind the walls.
But if
yeah.
it's unpermitted and you're a buyer coming in, you can still buy the house unpermitted, but the city knows that there's something unpermitted there. Could you?
No, they don't.
So talking in practical levels, right?
Mhm.
You as a person, I mean, you're busy, you have your own problems. So let's say that you're trying to buy a property that's in the market,
Mhm.
that's as something unpermitted. Usually the way it works is someone complains about the unpermitted item, or the city does a walkthrough. In some cities, like in some cities near Berkeley, for example, it's common for inspectors to sometimes go into the open houses, right? So if the biggest risk is when it's on the market. When it's on the market, someone finds out that you have something unpermitted. When that happens, then it's up to the sellers to bring it back up to code, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what in San Francisco, we've had a surge in that, right? Where someone reports it. And again, it's usually when someone complains about it. So be nice to your neighbors, right? But the reality is that once you own the property, let's say you have something that's not up to code, you really have to piss someone off for someone to go in there and check on your property. Mm. And I don't know the exact rules. I'm pretty sure that you can't just, some random person can't just go into your home and say, hey, I need to check your permits. So that's not really, I mean, there's just so much stuff that, people are busy with that's just not a realistic thing for it to happen. But the biggest risk is when it's on the market, right? And that's you don't want to increase square footage, right? You don't want to, I guess when you're putting a house on the market, sometimes you have the square footage from the county records, right? And then you take photography that shows that there's a bigger square footage. Well, now you have two separate accounts of size. Some sellers say like, oh, I want to put the higher square footage. Now, the liability with that is if you know as a seller that you have something unpermitted and you put it on the market, those buyers might start questioning, hey, what's going on here? So if those buyers then go and ask a whole bunch of questions to the city, it might raise some alarms at the city level, right? And that's when things happen. That's when things get a little bit more crazy and hectic. Maybe it wasn't a complaint, but it was just a buyer who was doing their due diligence and they find out something was unpermitted.
Mm-hmm. Here's another thing to look out for. So let's say you interviewed 5 agents before you listed the property and you gave it to, number 4, but agent number 2 was really pissed off that you didn't give him the listing. He knew you had unpermitted stuff in the house. So don't mention anything unpermitted the first time you talk to an agent. Get it narrowed down a little. Make sure he's not, she's not going to turn you in for that because just out of spite.
Oh, because they didn't get the listings?
Exactly.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard. So a lot of times when sellers, and you can't blame sellers for wanting to do their due diligence in picking who they're going to sell their home with. A secondary issue with doing that is before you're putting your home on the market, make sure that you don't show your address. Just look up agents, look at their histories, right? Look at the reviews before contacting people. If you are contacting 5-6 agents and they all know that you're selling a property, that's going to hurt you in terms of negotiation. They're going to want to ask about your story. Every agent's going to want to learn about your story. And if you don't pick them, now they know what means a lot to you. Now they know how they can, compete and get to your emotions. So you have to be really careful with that. And that's something that people don't really think about when they're.
Yeah, good point.
So.
That's a really good point. One more thing on this permit. So like not all kind of two questions. What's the most common unpermitted thing you tend to see? And then the second question is, like, all permits aren't created equal. There's like some permits are just really minor details, whereas there's permits that are huge details that really impact the property price.
Well, I kind of see mostly like added a small room, made an empty space into a room. So you're just adding electric and maybe a window. The other thing are bathrooms, throwing a bathroom together. Those are probably the two major things. And yeah, every city's going to have different permits for different things. A big city like San Francisco is going to have a specific plumbing department, electric department. Whereas you go in a small city, they may just have the building department, and that's it. So they just deal with that. So that's the kind of thing that you have to look at on each individual city.
One of the most troublesome ones that you do see is things like decks, just because decks create a safety hazard. I mean, a bathroom that's not done properly, maybe you're going to get more mold than you would have. And it can create, if not routed correctly, it can create fires, right? So that's one thing. But a deck, someone can fall more easily if they're not the right procedures. Maybe it's extended too far out, right? That creates a danger. So that's usually what people are fined the most for, I'd say. City like Palo Alto, you can't build decks, right? So if you go to a property that has a large deck, they either been grandfathered or they kind of know someone.
Why can't you build a deck in Palo Alto?
You're allowed to build the really small decks, but extensive decks where you can actually use the outside, you can't.
You're talking like off a second or third floor, but you could build, say, a slab as a patio. You just can't build a deck.
Yeah.
I
meant like a second floor deck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that brings us to SB 326 and SB 721, but mostly 326, which has to do with condominiums. First question you ask when you're looking at a condominium to the listing agent is the condominium all good with SB 326? Doesn't matter if the unit you're looking at has a balcony or not. What that law is these condominiums have to get inspect the decks. And if you didn't do it, you're never getting a mortgage. We're going through this hell with this. The problem is the management company has been just evasive, and they finally gave what we needed and we finally got it cleared, but it was the whole pain. This was supposed to be done at the end of last year, and they still haven't done the physical work, but they finally got the bids and things like that. But yeah, condominiums in California, SB 326, that is question number one. Because even if, again, there's no deck in your property and it's only on one unit, another side of the property, doesn't matter. It will shut down the whole mortgage process until it's done. It's crazy. We think it's like, wait, it's got nothing to do with our unit, so who cares? Mm-hmm. But they're worried about, hey, you're going to have a special assessment, how much it's going to be. Will that affect the condominium fee? So Fannie Mae is the pain in the neck about it now, starting in Florida. That got extended, I think, to another year, but all those have to be. And that's part of why values in Florida, it's one of the reasons, in addition to everything else, have collapsed. So condominiums are very slow to move. I mean, we have a buyer looking at one this week, 240 some days on the market in San Francisco. San Francisco's starting to come back, but it's still a condo is still. People are scared. People are seeing the fees going up because they have to. There used to be these people would buy, and I've always said this for years, don't buy the cheapest condo with the cheapest condo fee. There's a reason for it. That means they haven't put any money aside for reserves. So guess what? One day you're going to get a phone call, give us 25 grand, and you're going to go, habita. So, if you would have paid $15 more a month, for 10 years, this wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. So that's the second thing they asked. Do they have a reserve study recently? And check the reserve study. And it'll show you kind of how much they have to collect for the reserves and see what it is on the budget. But yeah, I mean, condo prices come down when the condo fees go up. So that's kind of always the seesaw. Condo fees come down, maybe it goes up a little bit because it's a give and take that way. So, add that into your mortgage payment so you know what the total amount is compared to a single. So singles, you don't worry about it. So
definitely seems like there's a lot more to understand when purchasing a condo. So you want to really try to find the right agent that can help you navigate that process.
Yep. And also a mortgage person, as you probably know, we do mortgages. So, we know what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are looking for. So, even when listing a condo, you have to go with the seller and explain all these things. If you're looking to list your condo and the agent doesn't ask you about SB 326 or the reserve, that means they have no idea. Which only means it's going to be a mess later because you're going to list the property, take the pictures, blah, blah, blah. Somebody's going to come, put an offer in, and then you find out they can't get a mortgage. So you've wasted your time completely. I mean, we took the house that we had the problem with, we actually took it off the market because there's no sense in having it on the market.
Until they can resolve the issue. So condos have their own challenges, but single family homes have some others. And talking about wildfires now and how,
there's a new
insurance.
We are taping this on, are you still calling it taping?
We're recording June 16th.
We're recording on June 16th. Tomorrow, there's going to be new maps that are coming out of wildfire issues in the state of California and where, the orange and the red are going to be on the maps. So just a big reminder is look for insurance before you even put a bid on a house. Just make sure you can get it insured. And if you can't get regular insurance, we'll call it, you're going to go into fair plan and you got to see what the price of that's going to be. And that's not 100% coverage. It doesn't give you everything. And then you got to buy a separate liability policy. So check with your insurance people ahead of time and realize if you see a lot of trees in California, it's going to cost you more for insurance. Basically the way to look at it. So we've already done it for this house and it's going to be fair play.
Just what you're looking at behind you right there?
Yeah, because all the trees close to Altadena, you can't see it, but there's mountains right behind there. So plenty of woods. And you can see a lot of trees behind the 210.
Yeah, you would think with all the greenery there, it would make it a little less for wildfires, but I guess it's still consumable.
Well, it's nice burnable wood, leaves burning, flare out. It's horrible.
Well, what about existing homeowners that may have lived in the house for 15 years or so? How would they be impacted? They can just lose their insurance?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like State Farm blew tons of people off. And then you got to go get Fair Plan or somebody else. AAA has been pretty good. We've had some success with them. Who else are people getting? I know Geico for a while. I don't know if they're still in the market, but there are, normal companies that you can start out with. You might have to shop around a little bit. Everybody's the same price on Fair Plan because it comes from the state. Not much you can do about that.
Very good. Chris, what's top of mind for you today?
Not you got me off guard.
I was intentional.
Trying
to wake me up.
Chris,
trying to sell a house in West Seattle.
Right. We've been nursing this house, and it's a great house.
Yeah.
2-bedroom, 1 bath with a basement and a garage. It's clean. The sewer is perfect. Absolutely perfect. And it just will get, it's priced right. We get us showing here and there. And it's just north of Burien. If you all know where that is.
Burien.
Yeah, I never pronounced that right.
Where is
but it is?
It's actually like West Seattle. It's a really nice neighborhood, and it's it's priced. You can't find hardly anything in West Seattle for under $1 million. So it's just kind of weird. Maybe it's just kind of a busy street, even though it's not that busy. But yeah, it's a clean, cute house.
If you have anything to do, it's how far is it from the airport, Chris? Drive 15
It's
minutes,
like
maybe
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
20
yeah.
minutes. Okay. So I'm going to come up with an idea, get it out there. There's these places near big airports, hubs, that airline personnel. Here's an idea. You live in Sacramento, but you're, you work for Alaska and you have to go out of Seattle is where you're getting most of your flights. So what do? Sometime you got an 8 a.m. flight. You can't fly in that morning and just get on board. You had to come in the night before. And that's not at a cost to the airline. That's at your cost. So what people have done, as a matter of fact, years and years ago, I helped a flight attendant set up 2 of these near Philadelphia. They're called crash pads.
Oh.
Maybe they changed the name of them. And she set it up with, her having her own room, but the other room she set up bunk beds, like 2 sets of bunk beds. So she got 4 people, and the people kind of rotate in and out. They got a closet. They were able to lock stuff up. It's a communal kitchen. They're all worked on the same airline, so they can all, bubble mites with each other about, complain. So this might be a really cool thing to do if you're an airline employee, have this as a crash pad. So you make money from it every month. So it's Airbnb before Airbnb, but just specifically for airline personnel. Maybe you're work at Boeing late nights, but you live up in northern part of Washington and you work during the week. Come in a couple of people who do that, and you put this house together and rent it out like that. So there are other ways of doing this and making money from it. So it's just a thought, because, we told people we can do a buy down mortgage. And let me explain again what a buy down is. I had 2 real estate agents ask me, and I can't believe they asked me. So if today the rate for a 30-year fix for this house is 6.5% with no points, what they let you do is say in year 1, you could have 4.5%. Year 2, you can have 5.5%. And then year 3 through 30, you get 6.5%. So it's called a 2-1 buy down. Pretty easy to figure out what that is. So it's a temporary buy down. So they charge 2%, and this is ballpark, 2% for the first year and 1% for the second year. So it's like 3% of the loan amount is the cost for this thing. And what you can do is you have the seller pay it.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that where you have the 2-1 buy down, you get the 4.5 in first year, 5.5 in the second year. You can refinance this at any time. It might be rates drop to 5 in year 2, you refinance it, you never get to the 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an adjustable, it's completely fixed. You do have to qualify based on the 6.5% rate.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, it used to be in the old days, we could qualify them on the 4.5, which is great. And add more buyers, but it's just another way of doing it. The second thing, financing wise, it's out there. The 7-year arms are now coming back. We locked somebody in on a condo in San Francisco. That was 3/8 in rate lower than the 30-year fixed. So that was really good. So start asking about 7-year arms, because you're going to refi it at some point in 7 years. So especially a large loan amount. So but this house in Seattle, maybe next week we'll put that up as a picture, give you a tour of it. Right, you can go to Arrivva.com and search properties. It's on there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it is listed. So anyway, René, you were there. Anything you can add? About 36?
It's a house for a younger person who can't afford the 1 million plus house, right? I think that when looking at property, we start being really optimistic about what we're going to be able to purchase. And we have a really high filter on prices. So I think that if you're looking for a property just in general, don't discredit homes that are much lower than the price range you're looking for, because that's probably what you're actually able to afford and what you're more comfortably able to afford. And I say this, I mean, I know we're talking about Seattle, but in Palo Alto, for example, we bid on a property that was listed at 4.5. The winning bid was 5.5 mil cash. That was from last weekend. Now there's a house a block and a half away that needs work. That needs a new kitchen, new flooring, just new paint all overall. You could probably get it perfected with 200K or so.
Yeah.
And it's been on the market, no competition for almost 2 months now. And I told buyers like, hey, you should go buy that one instead. You don't have to be in a bidding war. But a lot of the times people are really picky about that. They want a ready to move in property, right? I do say that if you want to be in a market where you don't overpay, you should really consider buying the property that doesn't scream, hey, it's ready to move in. Hey, it needs a little painting, new floor, new kitchen. Because you're better off making it your own home, making the updates yourself, being able to take the time to not overpay for those upgrades, and, being able to just, actually afford it during a slower time period. So I think that's what it boils down to. I think the people that go there, it is a property that, it is a not fairly upgraded home, and people
it does need a lot of update.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. If it was totally had an updated kitchen and bath, it would have been gone. But you're right. People are looking, they're not seeing the value in doing it themselves.
Yeah, we should get some experts from IKEA to give us a price on what it would cost to upgrade the kitchen and bath.
Yeah.
Give me an idea. So,
and there's room for expansion too. I know that some people like the idea of an attached garage. This property doesn't have an attached garage. So that is
detached.
It is something that you could look into. And that in itself, if you buy the house without the attached garage and then add it yourself later on, that's an upgrade.
It's a walkway.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because it rains all the time. So this way you park in the garage.
It doesn't rain all the time. Stop.
More than LA, that's for sure.
I don't know. It's just something about that house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it is, right? People are really attracted to location and just the lifestyle of homes. If you're paying to buy a property, you usually want a garage. We see houses in San Francisco, for example, beautiful Victorian remodeled houses. But if you're paying $2-3 million, you want a garage. Well,
yeah, for sure.
Even though this house is below $1 million, once you start becoming a buyer, you kind of want to have a garage. And I 100% would always rather an attached garage than having to walk outside. I don't care what the weather is. Actually,
it's almost more like a workshop. Someone would use it as like a workshop because it's not attached.
Yeah.
Oh, well, someone will buy it.
Yeah. We'll do it soon.
Well, I'm just looking at it online here. It's a beautiful looking house.
Why don't you share your screen and show everybody since you got it up there?
We've got
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. I mean, it's a cute house.
Yeah.
There's also a couple other houses right around the corner that have been sitting also for a while. So might just be the neighborhood. I don't know.
Oh, beautiful. This little backyard.
It's a cute starter house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they painted it. I mean, it's freshly painted. So, yeah, happy to help you.
Well, let's talk about when is the right time to buy, and should realtors just shut up about telling people now's the time to buy?
Well, I don't have to say anything else. Yes, realtors, shut up. I remember in the dearth of the absolute worst recessions that we had around 2009, 2010, nobody was buying real estate. I mean, nobody. And you had to be stupid to buy it because everybody knew it was going to keep going down. It's a great day at Keller Williams to buy real estate. How can I help you? That's how the receptionist would answer the call. Yeah, it's like psychological, but come on. It's about the numbers. It's about everything else. But there was this guy on TikTok. He's from San Diego. And he said, this is a great time to buy in San Diego. We see that home prices have come down in certain areas and especially with builders, and they're paying interest. And it's like, shut up. Because here's the other thing. A lot of agents and a lot of sellers overprice houses. If the seller thinks it's worth $1 gazillion, or the agent had just BS them into saying, I can get you this price, and then it's like, oh, well, the market's changed and we have to lower it. So don't do that. Every house, everything is local. You want to talk about a specific little area that's going down, you have good statistics and reasons why. So why is it going to come back? They never answer that question. So they say it's going down. It's a great time to buy. We tell people when you're looking at a house, especially when you get into these Palo Alto, Los Altos, bidding wars, Saratoga, etc. It's a 2 million. It's probably going to go for 2.7. Oh, I only want to go 2.3. That's all it's worth. Well, that's what's worth today. I asked the next question: how long are you going to live there? Oh, this is my forever house. We're just 7 kids in at least 20 years. Then what do you care what you paid for it? It's in the Silicon Valley. It's the only way to get the house because it's a land grab. They're not building any more houses in Palo Alto or on a grand scale that it's going to drop the value of everything. Apple's not going anywhere. Meta's not going anywhere. NVIDIA's not going. They're not going anywhere. So, and they're going to keep hiring people and paying them a lot of money. So guess what happens? They still want to stay there. So yeah, you're going to quote unquote overpay now. I'm not forcing you to do it. I'm just giving people the overview. But 20 years from now, you're not going to remember what you paid for it. You're not going to care. And these people are making enough money. It's not going to hurt them either. Or we can talk about it and go with that Jubilee program with the land.
Our guest from last week.
Exactly. So there are some ways to maybe circumvent and get things lower. And remember, when you bid with Jubilee's program, they do it as a cash offer for you. So you're in a better position. So anyway.
I know we're getting to the end of the show, but I just thought of something I was going to ask last week. They're doing the land rights, but if I remember about 6-7 months ago, we'd had a discussion about air rights.
They buy the land and the rights that go with them.
Okay.
So all the real buyers buying is physical real estate. So that's all they're getting a mortgage on. That's all that is mortgage. So the air rights also go to them. And this could get, it could get crazy and sophisticated when you're buying commercial property in downtown Chicago or something to get it cheaper. Or see, that's where a seller take back of, hey, I'm going to hold on to the land. I'll sell you the real estate with a 99-year lease under certain terms. So that could be an effective way of selling commercial property that's not moving. Be able to cheapen it, do something where you got a graduated payment schedule. So, you pay $1,000 in the first year, $2,000 in the second, $3,000. I'm making up numbers, obviously. But when you own the land, doesn't matter. You can make up your own terms. So that's for, an office building where there's no debt or the debt is enough to be paid off by the real estate loan or you have an outside investor come in and take a piece of this land. There's all different ways of structuring. So,
well, tune in last week to learn more about Jubilee and land rights, if this is interests you.
There you go.
And I think on that note, this has been another episode of We Fixed Real Estate.